The story begins with a doctor named Kerala, who is shown frantically searching for sleeping pills in a supermarket. The place appears completely scattered, and there is a significant amount of fear on Dr. Kerala's face, indicating that something extremely dangerous might be happening. Dr. Kerala notices that someone is trying to forcefully open the door, and immediately after that, the scene fades to black. Next, we are shown a time a few minutes earlier when a spacecraft, returning to Earth after completing its mission in space, experiences a technical malfunction and crashes directly onto Earth. The debris of the spacecraft is scattered across different locations on Earth. Consequently, NASA scientists impose restrictions on those areas so that they can quickly research the spacecraft's fragments. When the scientists begin their research, they discover strange organisms within the wreckage of the crashed spacecraft. These organisms are so advanced that they can easily survive in extreme cold and hot conditions. NASA scientists start gathering information about where these microorganisms came from and what their side effects might be. Now we see an officer named Dakar, who is investigating the spacecraft's crash landing. Due to the spread of this news, the media becomes very active, as all media channels are eager for breaking news. Soon after, a girl arrives with a piece of the spacecraft in her hand. Without thinking much, she hands the piece over to Dakar, who is immediately calmed by the strange objects present on the debris. However, when he goes home, freshens up, and falls asleep, suddenly, changes start to occur in Dakar's entire body during the night. His body begins to transform in a strange way, as if he is becoming a dangerous alien. But in the morning, Dakar returns to being completely normal. Interestingly, there are no expressions on Dakar's face. He calls his ex-wife, Dr. Kerala, and tells her that he wants to meet their son as soon as possible. Dr. Kerala, on the other hand, tells her ex-husband Dakar that this is absolutely not possible because the court has decided that their son will stay solely with her. Now, Dr. Kerala finds herself in her clinic, discussing her concerns with a friend who is present with her. She tells her friend about how Dakar is calling her to keep their son with him. The friend responds that this is an obvious matter because Dakar is also his father and has rights over their son. After understanding her friend's point, Dr. Kerala leaves her son with Dakar for a while and departs. Dakar's face shows no expression at all. Without thinking, Dr. Kerala leaves her son there and walks away. Her son, named Tyson, notices that there is no expression on his father's face, as if Dakar has completely turned into a robot. On the other side, we see Dr. Kerala at her home when suddenly a government agent arrives at her door to discuss some matters. Dr. Kerala asks him to wait for a moment and goes inside. Suddenly, she sees the agent trying to open the door, prompting her to rush back and lock it for her protection. The government agent also shows no expression on his face. Strangely, Dr. Kerala realizes that she has encountered several people like this before, who lack any emotions or expressions. Feeling scared, Dr. Kerala leaves for her clinic, but on the way, she notices people with completely expressionless faces, as if they have all turned into robots. All these people are staring in the same direction. To investigate this strange behavior, Dr. Kerala searches the internet for information and finds that many people have commented about their family members exhibiting odd behaviors. According to these comments, some families are experiencing members who are not engaging well with anyone, nor are they sharing in each other's joys or sorrows. As if happiness had bid farewell to their lives, the number of these cases had significantly increased, prompting Dr. Kerala to reach out to a scientist at a bank. This scientist was also investigating these cases related to the incidents that had occurred. He explained to Dr. Kerala and her friend that when the spacecraft had crashed on the ground, it had carried numerous microorganisms that were now infiltrating people's bodies, taking control of their DNA and even their minds. Moreover, the virus was spreading rapidly everywhere. Dr. Kerala became increasingly worried about her son, Tyson. Therefore, she went directly to Dakar's house to retrieve her son, but Tyson was not there. Instead, there were only some unfamiliar people in Dakar's house, all of whom had no expressions on their faces, indicating that Dakar and everyone else had been infected by the virus. When Dr. Kerala couldn't find her son inside the house, she started questioning Dakar about it, but all the people with Dakar held her back. Dakar told his ex-wife Kerala that she wouldn't realize anything. She just needed to sleep, and everything would be resolved. The situation escalated to the point where Dr. Kerala and Dakar were about to fight. Suddenly, Dakar expelled a green liquid from his mouth and threw it at Dr. Kerala. Fortunately, she wasn't severely harmed, so she managed to escape into the house. She drove away quickly, seeking a safe place. However, she soon noticed a crowd of people gathered on the road. From a glance, it was clear to Dr. Kerala that these people were infected by the virus, and they began to chase after her to capture her. Dr. Kerala was solely focused on saving her life. This indicated that a large portion of the city's population had become infected. In her escape, Dr. Kerala boarded a metro. Inside the metro, the people also had expressionless faces, which heightened Dr. Kerala's anxiety. She quickly sat down on a seat when a man advised her not to show any expression on her face. Because of this, the infected people could attack her, which meant that some people present at the metro station were not infected. They were just pretending to be infected. However, their plan didn't last long because a large group of infected individuals boarded the metro. Seeing them, a woman who was not infected panicked and ran away, prompting Dr. Kerala and the others to leave as well. These infected individuals were spewing green liquid from their mouths to infect everyone, but Dr. Kerala managed to escape the metro and ran away to save her life. Now on the streets of the city, Dr. Kerala began to act as if she were not infected at all. Many people in the city had already become infected, and the police were starting to catch those who were normal, meaning those whose faces showed joy or sorrow. Dr. Kerala remained very cautious as she moved ahead. She encountered an officer who was pretending to be infected. Dr. Kerala then quietly went to Dakar's house to search for Tyson, but she couldn't find him. With no other options, Dr. Kerala and Bank went to the scientist. The scientist had gathered a significant amount of information about the virus by now. He explained to Kerala and Bank that this virus spread rapidly from one person to another, and due to this virus, an infected person became completely emotionless. The disturbing part was that this virus could activate in any man or woman who fell asleep. In other words, anyone who slept might be infected. The scientist also speculated that the virus might be present in all of them, and if the virus could not control their bodies, they would have to stay awake all the time. He mentioned that he could create an antidote, but he would need to go to a laboratory outside the city. After planning everything, they set out towards their destination. On the way, Kerala saw a police officer taking one of her patients away. Her patient was insisting that she had only slept for a few hours and that she was completely normal. Now, Dr. Kerala was deep in thought because if her patient had fallen asleep, the virus present in her body would have taken complete control. However, that was not the case. Kerala's patient remained completely normal. Meanwhile, the scientist was heading to his laboratory with a lady, while Bank and Kerala were still searching for Tyson. Yet, Kerala's mind was preoccupied with thoughts about her patient. With her sister's help, she checked her patient's medical report, which revealed that her patient had chickenpox. Perhaps because of the chickenpox, the virus had not heavily affected her body. Kerala confirmed all her suspicions when she recalled that her son, Tyson, had also had chickenpox a while back. Since Tyson was still completely normal, this meant the virus couldn't harm him. Her sister understood everything well, so she conveyed to her scientist friend how a patient had chickenpox but was not affected by the virus. The scientist said they could use this information to create an antidote, but he would need a small sample of the patient's blood. Her sister then mentioned that Dr. Kerala's son, Tyson, was still alive, so they had to find him at any cost. The biggest challenge was that the police had spread throughout the city, and all the officers were infected. Therefore, Kerala and her sister devised a plan. One of them would distract the officers by taking a police officer's vehicle, allowing Kerala to safely find Tyson. They executed their plan, and Kerala managed to get on a metro filled with infected individuals who were all staring at her. After getting off the metro, Dr. Kerala noticed that Dakar had come to pick her up. Since she was pretending to be infected, she calmly went to Dakar's house. However, Dakar's mother had also become fully infected, so Kerala was being very cautious about showing her expressions. Just then, while having dinner, Carola received a call from her son, Tyson. Dakar informed her that he had taken Tyson to his grandmother's house, and after discovering Tyson's location, Dr. Carola quickly made her way there. She was very happy to see her son after such a long time, but she didn't want to take any risks, so Carola decided to escape with Tyson. However, Dakar and many others started chasing Carola. She and Tyson hid in a supermarket where the infected people were trying to get in through the door. Carola and her son found a corner to conceal themselves. Carola called Bank to inform him of her location, so he could rescue them as soon as possible. However, she was extremely sleepy because she hadn't slept in the last 2 nights. Carola knew that if she fell asleep, the virus would take control of her body. So, she hurried to find an injection and told her son Tyson that if she fell asleep, he should inject her with it. After a few hours, Tyson fell asleep, but Carola remained awake. She began searching for medication to stay alert in the supermarket. This was the same medication we saw at the beginning of the story, but due to not finding anything, Carola ended up feeling exhausted and eventually fell asleep. The virus in her body started to take control. Just then, her son Tyson suddenly woke up and followed his mother's instructions. Without wasting any time, he injected his mother with the syringe, waking Carola up just in time. Carola was relieved because if she had slept any longer, the virus would have taken full control of her body. After some time, Bank also arrived, and Carola was very happy to see him. However, she found out that her sister had also become infected, so she warned Bank about the need to keep herself and her child safe. Bank had a logical conversation with Carola, explaining that the virus was, in a way, helping humanity. He pointed out that when the virus was not present, humans harbored a lot of hatred for each other. One country would attack another, leading to rampant crime and terrorism everywhere. But since this virus has inserted itself into human bodies, we have become emotionless. We neither think well of others nor about the greater good, which has significantly reduced the city's crime rate. In a way, this virus has helped us. However, Dr. Carola didn't trust Bank at all. Her sister had opened the supermarket door, allowing all the infected people to come inside, and now Carola was in a precarious situation. But to save her son Tyson, she started confronting the infected individuals one by one and seized the opportunity to escape with Tyson. Just then, Carola received a call from the scientist, who told her that she had to bring her son Tyson to the laboratory at any cost, as his blood was crucial. So, Dr. Carola informed the scientist of her location, and following her instructions, he arrived in a helicopter with a rescue team. Carola made her way to the top of the building, dodging the infected people pursuing her. She was determined to save her only son, so she quickly climbed to the top of the building. The rescue team used the helicopter to save her and Tyson, allowing them to escape just in time. The scientist, along with his team, extracted Tyson's blood and created an antidote for the virus. Their organization gradually began supplying this antidote throughout the city, leading to a significant decrease in the virus's effects in a short period. Before long, all those infected with the virus returned to normal. And that concludes our story.